Hi, I read this book yesterday, and this is a book called Message from an Unknown Chinese Mother by an author called Xinran. I hope I'm saying that right. This is about one of the, well, it's about a lot. It's basically about the all of the Chinese women forced to give away their children because of, largely because of well, a few factors: the one-child policy in China, the extreme poverty in China, and the old laws in China, whereby unless you're a woman, you don't inherit any land, you don't have any rights, you don't get anything from the government because it's a communist state. And so, just the practice of, for example, doing a girl, i.e., killing her at birth, and it's so old and it's so ingrained and it's so widespread that the author was once asked by a student of hers when she was teaching at SOAS, I think, whether it was true that Chinese people don't have feelings. I mean, it's quite shocking, and it's a really good read. You find out a lot about the author, you find out about how she started on this journey, and a lot of people have written her letters, and she's interviewed a lot of people, and it's actually quite harrowing, but still a good read. I mean, I read it in one sitting. It's 289 pages long. And The Economist, right? So right-wing publication, The Economist, says one would have to have a heart of stone not to be moved. Now, it's not the best written thing I've ever read, because maybe because it's translated, maybe the translation doesn't do it justice. I think it was originally written in Chinese. The writer used to work at a radio station as well, and in China, radio broadcasters wielded a lot of power, so she was actually able to save, albeit maybe only for the short term, a couple of children. And there was an example when she was cycling to work, and there was a crowd gathered, just standing around looking at something on the floor, and it was a baby that had just been dumped there outside one of the public toilets. Completely not unusual in China at that time. I mean, one of the worst things, well, if you read it, I don't want to ruin it for you, but I'll just tell you one thing about a family she encountered, or a man she encountered. Clearly loved his daughter very much, but he was on the run with his wife because she was pregnant again, and he had been banished from his family and told only come back if you have a son, basically. And he was banished from the family after his wife had their first child, who was a daughter, who I think was killed at birth. And the man's on the train, and he's got his daughter who made him also clearly loves her, clearly dotes over her, and as the train pulls away, the writer realizes that he's left his daughter on the platform, and they're basically going through China, this family, which wasn't unusual at the time, going through China, leaving their daughters. They had 4 of them at train stations, just abandoning them in the hope that the next pregnancy would be a boy. It's quite something. I'm only going to give it an 8 out of 10, but I do recommend you read it if you just want an insight into not just, not these fucking hello readers and people who buy anything with the latest retarded fucking celebrity on the front. This is my tragedy yourself. Not that bullshit, but just for an insight into how hard conditions can change human behavior, into how, the author herself, she grew up during the Cultural Revolution, so she can't remember ever, she was sent to a labour camp at the age of 7, I think, and her brother 2.5, and they were brutally treated. But when they were reunited with their family 10 years later or so, there was never any asking what happened. She said she never got a hug from her own mother, or anything like that. And when she tried to tell her mother how she felt at a reunion, she couldn't get any words out. It's just how situations shape humans. And I mean, let's not forget our closest relatives are chimpanzees, and chimpanzees are some of the nastiest, most violent creatures on earth. The hideous creatures. Oh, but they're cute, they've got fur. Yeah, if you're of that kind of retard fucking segment that thinks anything with fur on it is wonderful, then maybe you'll disagree with me. But I mean, chimpanzees will rip off the genitals and drink the blood and everything of anyone who dares mess with their women, or or try to come onto a territory, or who even isn't in the in-group. They're hideous species, and humans can be driven to do some quite horrible things too. But it doesn't mean they don't hate. It doesn't mean they don't regret. They do it to survive, And it's a mathematical thing as well. In China, oh, I've got a daughter. Unless I kill her, 3 of us are going to starve to death. It came to that. It really did. People trafficking, selling daughters, this and that, blah blah blah. So, okay, I was about to go into another topic, but that's the book. It's called Message from an Unknown Chinese Mother: Stories of Love and Loss. The Financial Times calls it an extraordinary book told with generosity and warmth by a brilliant storyteller. So it is really good. All right.